Hey, what's up guys? How you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. This is Dolby Vision version on Voodoo from Paramount Pictures film that's also inspired and adapted from Japanese anime Ghost in Shell. Obviously, Scarlett Johansson here playing Ghost in Shell. And what I basically did here, I utilized the same exact calibration that I use for NBA 2K18. And I must say it looks excellent here on TCL 55-inch P605 model. I'm going to go through some scenes here and I'm going to show it to you. And then I will show you exactly the type of calibration I'm using. These are my own custom picture settings that I used. I just had this idea, hey, why don't I utilize custom picture settings that I use for NBA 2K18? Why don't I utilize it for this movie with the same principle, and it looks fantastic. So let's go through some of the stills. Obviously I cannot show you the moving picture, otherwise Paramount Pictures will just block worldwide this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some stills really quick. Here you can see I move the frame of the scene a little bit further, about 22 seconds, and you can see how everything looks natural here, the outline, and in Dolby Vision it's really bright. The one unique thing that I notice about Dolby Vision, because it is encoded to a higher peak brightness and it is encoded to 12-bit in cinema, and it's being decompressed to metadata, dynamic, not static, but dynamic metadata, to be able to compress that into a 10-bit television, which is here. Obviously we're still not seeing the true potential of what Dolby Vision can do, but thanks to dynamic metadata we're able to see that on 10-bit televisions. Once the 12-bit televisions comes out with 4,000 to even 8,000 peak brightness nits, then we're truly going to be in heaven of Dolby Vision and truly appreciate what Dolby Vision can do. So let me go through some more scenes in this movie, and I'll walk you through it and tell you what I'm seeing. Here's another great example, like right here in this scene. Even the dark areas here, they're still visible. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see them. Even the dark areas are still visibly detailed because of Dolby Vision higher peak brightness detail that's being decompressed from original source to dynamic metadata. In case you guys are not familiar with dynamic metadata and static metadata, it's fixed to a certain peak brightness, it's fixed to a certain color gamut, which is HDR10. Dynamic metadata is like an open source, like OpenGL if you will. It's an open source that can decompress and take different types of sources of signals and decompress them from its original source into this source. You guys can learn more about that through Google. Google is your friend. So I purposely used this scene because what's happening in this scene is there's a strobe light, very high end strobe light, that's most likely being used on police cars, and it's being used here in this movie, in this scene overhead where Scarlett Johansson character is. And you will see right now, you see this peak brightness, that's because of the strobe light that's coming down. And I'm doing this example just to show you how excellent Dolby Vision represents that light and reflection of that light. So in about next frame, in about 2-3 seconds, in the next frame, you will see, in the next still, you will see the light being dimmed down, and just how well it represents that. Here now the light, it's being dimmed down, and even when it's being dimmed down, you still see that detail of, even in the dark areas, like right here in the dark areas, you still see the detail. And that's the beauty of Dolby Vision. Obviously it's going to be hard for you to see that through the camera, but the reason I do these videos is to kind of like a commentary, to walk you through it. It's kind of like you're listening to a filmmaker commentary and he's telling you the process and all this other stuff. So I'm kind of doing the same thing here. I'm letting you know what I'm seeing and kind of trying to walk you step by step on what makes the Dolby Vision so great. And you see right here now, slowly the light, it's dimming, in and out. Obviously I cannot show you, I cannot play the scene. If I was able to play the scene, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. You can check out this scene for yourself and you will see exactly what I mean. And voila, look at it here. Now you got the full blast, peak brightness of that strobe light. And not only can you see all the details in and around the area, but at the same time you can see the see-through on this costume that she has, the silk see-through costume that she has. So that just shows you how excellent Dolby Vision is. And this is not even a full potential of what Dolby Vision can really do. Once the 12-bit television comes out with higher peak brightness of 4,000 to 8,000 nits, then you truly are going to appreciate what Dolby Vision can achieve. It's just going to be jaw-dropping. I mean, 10 years from now, oh my God, it's going to be sick. Actually, I went too fast. How about 3 years from now? Or 4 years from now, to be more realistic. 4 years from now, you'll be looking at 8K. And here again, now it's total darkness. Total deep darkness. But even in the total pitch black darkness, you can still see some of the detail. This is also another great scene here with the cat. The way this is holograph. It's a holographic thing. And you get to see this holographic cat move up and down. But even in this scene, you still see what Dolby Vision is able to reproduce on this film. And here's a great shot of Scarlett Johansson as the Ghost in the Shell. Obviously, my camera here, it's not doing it justice, but you'll just have to trust me that everything here on her body, on her skin, on her lipstick looks as natural as if you were standing next to her. Here's another great shot right here. The contrast ratio between the dark and the bright, and even in this overshadowing light of dark and light background, you still see that detail vividly. Obviously, it's going to be hard for you to see that through this camera, but you'll just have to trust me. That's what I'm seeing with my own two eyes. And that's courtesy of Dolby Vision. And here, it's where truly Dolby Vision shine. Right here, it shines excellently here. Because you got so much vivid colors popping out. You got the sunrise, you got the colors, LED colors, holographic images, reflection on the intercoastal. So this is what Dolby Vision does perfectly. If I was to show you this in a plain SDR or even HDR10, it wouldn't be as detailed, as bright as it is right now with the Dolby Vision. That's because of the dynamic metadata. And this is why Dolby Vision is more superior than the HDR10. Now I know there's a hybrid log gamma, and I know there's also Technicolor Advanced HDR that's coming out, but I have yet to see the content from HLG and Technicolor Advanced HDR. The jury's still out on that one. And here, again, even here, the depth of field and dynamic look to it, Dolby Vision truly represents every and each detail here in a distance from the stoplights of the buses here and the cars, the reflection on the wet surface of the pavement. And this is not even full potential, again, of what Dolby Vision can do. But even with that dynamic metadata, you still get to appreciate what potentially this thing can do. By the way, Dolby Vision was created by Dolby Laboratories, but also there's something you need to know about HDR. Original creators of HDR, of high dynamic range, was by Dolby. Dolby was the first one to actually create this whole patent, and then they start selling it to other third parties out there in the open market. Once it took off, then they started doing their own upgraded version of HDR called Dolby Vision. And even here, look at the reflection of the light overshadowing that jacket, the green jacket, and then her face. All of these details are present on Dolby Vision version of this film. Same thing here. You see that the red light now overshadowing her face. That's because Dolby Vision, it's reading that light naturally and perfectly. There's no denying that this movie stole a little bit from Blade Runner, you know, but that's okay. As a matter of fact, I can't wait to check out Blade Runner 4K Final Cut HDR version, and also can't wait to see how the new Blade Runner is going to look in HDR. I can only imagine. It's going to look fantastic. And of course here, yet another great example of Dolby Vision. Believe me when I tell you, what I'm seeing here, it's a billion times better than what you guys are seeing through camera right now. Every detail here, from that light down here overshadowing and reflecting on the intercoastal, from that pink, purple strobe light reflecting on the building, all of these things are presented vividly with Dolby Vision. Alright, so let me show you basically what type of custom picture settings I'm using on TCL 55P605 Dolby Vision TV right here. They're pretty much exactly the same custom picture settings that I used for NBA 2K18. Obviously, these two you always have to have bright. Remember, this is Dolby Vision. HDR and Dolby Vision breeds on peak brightness. It needs it like an insulin. So you gotta have bright HDR mode at the bright and TV brightness at bright. Local contrast, local dimmings, you never touch this. You always leave this at high. You don't want to mess around with this. Somebody asked me about dynamic contrast. You do not want to turn dynamic contrast on. As a matter of fact, you cannot even turn it on when you have local dimmings at high. You already have your local dimmings at high, 72 zones. If you turn that dynamic contrast on, you're going to be crushing your white bright levels. Remember, the whole idea of HDR and Dolby Vision, it's not to crush your deep dark levels, it's not to crush your white bright levels, it's to give that fine detail and natural look of dynamic picture. So let's go over here. Same thing here. You want to make sure that you have your backlit contrast at maximum. It's a mandatory. And brightness at 50. Remember, all of those threes will always stay the same. When you have HDR or Dolby Vision turned on, this will always be the same. You'll never have to touch this. It'll always be like this. Sharpness, I like to keep it at 0. A couple of reasons. Number one, this is already a native 4K format source. You're already getting a high pixel density here, so you don't need to outline any more than it's already present. Okay, so sharpness, you can leave it at 0. Color, I feel 55. As I felt with NBA 2K, I felt 55. Between 50 to 55, it's more than enough, because if I was to move this to 70 or 80 or even 63, then I would be oversaturating the hell out of this picture. Same thing with the color temperature. I like to keep it at normal because I don't like the yellow tone of color, that sepia warm yellow, nor do I like that cold tone blue color. I like it to keep it in between. So that's it. That's pretty much what I'm using. Well, there you have it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's really more like an analysis of what Dolby Vision is and the future potential of Dolby Vision. It's definitely going to be awesome. We're not even seeing, let's just say we're not seeing nothing what Dolby Vision will be able to achieve in future. All right, this is Mr. 4K Upscaler out. I'll see you guys on some more videos today. Take care.